What is going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday, and welcome back to Sin City Crypto Live. My name is David. I'll be one of your co-hosts, and today, like every day, we're coming at you live from our studio in Las Vegas, Nevada, where we're talking today about, of course, the story that never ends. Sam Bankman-Fried, will he be subpoenaed to testify in front of Congress? Also, Gary Gensler is holding a closed-door meetings with Democrats only. What does that mean? Also, Nexo is leaving the US of A. We'll talk about that. And Bitcoin mining. Where's it at? Where's hash rate? Mining difficulty. Maybe good, maybe bad. We'll discuss that. And we have a very special guest joining us. CVO Crypto will be joining us in about 30 minutes to go over some charts. But before we get into the content, I have to introduce you to your other co-hosts. Big Rob, what's up?
Hola! It's yo boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're an entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take the old, the boring, the stale information, and we package it up in a fun and sexy way.
Bitcoin at 17,000.
Bitcoin at 17,000. Actually, it's under 17,000. 16,900.
That has literally been after your intro, that's been you've said the same thing every single time for the last week.
Well, you know what? There's one thing I know for sure. I will not be saying that for the rest of my life because Bitcoin will not stay at 17,000.
Mm-hmm. All right. I want to give a shout out to Lunar.
Was that a bull sound?
I want to give a shout out to Lunar. He said, Rob and Dave are top G's. What color is your Bugatti? What color is your Bugatti? All right. I want to jump right in, dude. I don't want to waste any time. Robin's favorite banker friend, Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase.
He's the one that opened up my first checking account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The man who scorned Robin for the rest of it. Was that Bank of America? Bank of America.
It was.
Yes. He spoke yesterday, I believe, to CNBC, and listen to what he compared crypto with. And so let's get our traditional market news out of the way.
Can I throw into the mix, which I think is a small piece, but maybe you think it's a bigger piece? Janet Yellen called the failure of FTX last week.
By the way, this guy on the screen right now, this is Andrew Sorkin. This is the man who wrote that puff piece on Sam Bankman-Fried for the New York Times. This is him, okay?
A Lehman moment in crypto. I don't know if you think that's contained and doesn't matter. Yeah. Do you think it's a symbol of something larger that's happening in the economy?
Crypto is a complete sideshow, okay? And you guys spend too much time on it, and I've made my views perfectly clear about crypto tokens are like pet rocks. And there's people hyping this stuff up. That doesn't mean blockchain is not real.
Right.
That doesn't mean smart contracts won't be real or Web 3.0. But cryptocurrencies that don't do anything, I don't understand why people are spending time. But I don't think she meant it's a Lehman moment. I think she meant it's a Lehman moment for crypto.
Yes.
But crypto's worth $1 trillion. The other thing the American public should look at when you look at crypto, if you look at all the buying and selling, so Bitcoin's worth like under $1 trillion today, and we're not even sure that's a real market, by the way. There's 20 to 30 billion of ransomware a year that we know about, 20 to 30 billion of exchange costs that we know about, lots of AML, anti-terrorism financing, tax avoidance, sex trafficking. Why we allow this?
Sex trafficking? I'm not making fun of sex trafficking. It's just funny that would be one of his arguments.
Yeah, everyone knows here in Vegas, we do have legal prostitution and well, not in Vegas.
What the hell is on your desk? Is that a cock?
It is, bro.
What is that?
What's up, buddy?
That's weird.
So, in case you didn't know, Portugal is playing today. If you know anything about Portugal, if you ever go to Portugal.
If all of a sudden Robin disappears from the stream at 11, you know why?
So, this is the national bird. If you go to Portugal, okay, so like if you come visit America and you go drive around the neighborhoods in the U.S., you'll see no shortage of American flags hanging off the front porch, right? In Portugal, there ain't no Portugal flags hanging around. You might periodically see one, but you will see everywhere is these little decorative roosters. So this is the national bird of Portugal, and they have these little decorative style vases, very Portuguese style. But anyways, yeah, man, I gotta support the boys today, man. We're playing the Swedes, so in the World Cup. That's right.
All right, let's go back to the video. What are your thoughts on what our friend Jamie said? He said crypto is like a pet rock.
Like a
He
pet
said
turkey?
it's
Pet
used
rooster?
for sex trafficking, anti-money or money laundering. He said a bunch of stuff. What? Does this mean the bottom
It
is
doesn't
closed?
surprise me, but it's like,
And
okay,
what's Web
you know what's
3.0?
funny is that he first off made fun of crypto. He said he compared it to a pet rock, and then he's all like, well, you do got smart contracts, you do
Blockchain technology.
Yeah,
And he said
it
Web
re-
3.0. What's
so,
Web 3.0?
So you have an acknowledgement that it's the future, and then you're trying to downplay the tokens that
Power
that
the
power
blockchain.
the system. So it's like saying the internet's the greatest thing on the world, but the computers suck. Like, hey man, computers are trash, man. Don't ever buy a computer. Stick to the typewriter and writing letters. But we understand the internet is key. It's the future.
That's
Okay,
actually-
you understand the internet's future, but yet you don't believe in the technology. Like, you don't believe that, you believe in crypto, you believe in decentralization, you believe in Web3, you believe in smart contracts, but yet you sit here and bash crypto tokens, the basically the fuel that powers them, right? And you can't have one without the other. You can't have the Bitcoin network without Bitcoin. I mean, as simple as that, as normal as that sounds to us, it doesn't make sense to them. You can't have the Ethereum network without Ethereum. And you can't have all the smart contract functionality without ERC20 tokens, unless it's all done on the base layer. And so as much crap as you...
Which needs Ether.
Yeah. And so it's all... Is there a bloated ecosystem of useless tokens that don't do crap? Yes, there is. Was there a bunch of useless... Oh, you got a new sweater there.
I picked this up in Bitcoin Miami last year.
Oh,
Couldn't
nice.
wear it because it was too hot.
So, in the same way that you can't have the same way that
I think the computer and internet analogy was pretty good.
yeah, and so but what I was saying is that in the age, in the .com era where you had this bloated ecosystem of different companies vying to get into the internet age, you had a bunch of crap projects. There were tons of internet company scams that were not ever going to mature. They just simply stuck a .com behind it. You know what I mean? No, all it was a promise. We're like, hey, we bought a domain name. We're gonna, have an online sector. This is gonna, we understand this is the future. But these companies that launched all of these internet protocol or internet ventures never really built out on it. They had the promise, they had the roadmap. You had pets.com saying, hey, we're going to, pets.com is the biggest, the biggest failure in the .com bubble, or the one that's most widely known because they had the Super Bowl commercials. But the problem was that they didn't build out the infrastructure. They just had warehouses. They didn't think about how many people are going to use, what are the cost margins. Now you have, what is it, Chewy, you know what I mean? They're pets, but you know what I mean? Like they probably rolled out their business structure that made sense. And this is the same thing now, man. I mean, I don't know. That's all I got.
There's also big news. Jim Cramer just made an announcement.
Ooh.
He doesn't think the U.S. is going to be in a recession.
Yes.
Wait, what? We already are in a recession.
Oh.
He is such a clown. All right.
When did it happen? When did it happen? I didn't even
Idiot, bro. All right. So let's get into what the topic of the show is today, what the title and thumbnail was. Sam testifying. Well, so if you remember, we shared a tweet for you guys from Miss Maxine Waters that said, oh, Sam, you've been so, forthright and coming and, giving us all the info and talking to your people. And we feel like you should come and testify, but in a nice way. To which Sam said, once I finished learning and reviewing what happened to my own company that I was a CEO of, that I fundraised at $15 billion, that I did all the trades and signed off on everything, then I will be more than happy to testify. To which Ms. Waters said, Sam, based on your role as CEO and your media interviews over the past weeks, it's clear to us that the information you have thus far is sufficient for testimony. As you know, the collapse of FTX has harmed over 1 million people, Your testimony would not only be meaningful to members of Congress, but is also critical to the American people. It is imperative that you attend our hearing on the 13th, and we are willing to schedule continued hearings if there is more information to be shared later.
Okay, a little backstory here. Maxime straight gave a super easy pass to Sam Bankman-Fried. At first, she was like, hey, we're going to hold a congressional meeting about your company's failures. If you'd like to show up, it'd be cool if you did. If not, we understand you're busy.
There it is. Is what he's referring to.
Yeah. So we appreciate you've been candid in your discussions about what happened with FTX. Your willingness to talk to the public will help the company's customers, investors, and others. To that end, you're welcome. We would welcome your participation in here. Like, we would welcome your... Congress is trying to get answers. They're holding a congressional meeting to hold people accountable. And she says to the CEO of the company that the whole damn thing is brought up about, you're welcome to show up. What happens when you're at work or you're at school and there's a group of people that you're familiar with, you kind of hang out with, and they're all like, yeah, man, you're going to go to the party, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'll be there, man. Yeah. It's like, all right, you bring the 12 pack. All right, what else you need? I'll bring the bean dip. And then just imagine you walk up to this group. You're like, hey, what's up, guys? What y'all talking about? Like, oh, we got a party. You're welcome to come if you want. You don't really want them to come, right?
Right.
And Maxine Waters, what party did she lie on?
What party?
Yeah.
Democratic Party.
And who has received the most campaign donations? From Sam Bankman-Fried. And what certain people, Elon Musk, this is all speculative, but Elon Musk came out and said, yo, dude done dropped over $1 billion in campaign donations.
You know what, Robin? You are so good at segues because here you go.
And yeah, Elon Musk said SBF donations to Democrats probably over $1 billion. Now, publicly, it was... and we'll dive a little further into this one here in a minute. But publicly, it was, I think it was like 200 million.
I believe so.
And so what Elon's saying, and he's got a pretty good bead on rich people, right? Being the richest person in the world.
The leader.
Exactly. He's the leader of the rich
leader
people.
of all the wealthy.
So you got dude over here saying like, yo, he donated a lot of money. So a lot of it's unaccounted for, right? And it's public knowledge that Sam Bankman-Fried also donated. He said it himself in one of his interviews through shadow donations. So how much shadow donations does this dude do? And so Elon said,
and you're telling me, hold on. You're telling me that if he did shadow donations for the Republicans, he didn't do the same for Democrats?
That's what I'm saying.
Along with the Republicans?
Yeah. And so he probably... So anyways, Maxine Waters is holding an investigation in FTX and drops a disappointing invitation. Yeah, you're welcome to join us. She didn't want him to be there. He probably got some dirt on her. They're over here blowing kisses over there, which we showed the other day. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, literally, Maxine blew Sam Bankman-Fried a kiss. That's my love. Bye. Just kind of like I blow kisses to my little turkey here. You know? So, and then there was a giant pushback in the crypto community. They were like, yo, Maxime, if you want him to show up to your meeting, just subpoena his ass. And then what was the dude's name that gave the play-by-play on how to subpoena? It's funny. A content creator gave Maxine Waters a play-by-play on how to subpoena Sam Bankman-Fried. So
it kind of feels
you
like
guys
we're
see
like
where we're going here.
Something.
You guys see where we're going here, and it takes our channel, and even though we're small, it takes other small channels and big channels to blow the whistle and be like, yo, you're dropping the ball here. You're supposed to represent the U.S. people. U.S. people, the citizens got hurt. They got burned. Billions of dollars are lost. There's no shortage of FTX users here in the U.S. that got their accounts locked out. And you know what? I just want some answers, bro. We don't need a crazy amount of regulation to come down like ASAP and mess stuff up. But at least dude stole $8 billion, or at least lost it, one of the two, or a combination.
Well, he stole it and then lost.
Yeah, he stole, lost, whatever. Anyways, people money gone. And regardless of regulation, whatever, like, yo, money gone, hold somebody accountable, man. He did fraud. He cheated people. He lied. He stole. And so hold his ass accountable. And who needs to hold him accountable? The people that are in office that...
Literally, she's a chairwoman of the House Oversight Financial Committee, whatever the hell that is. Literally, that is your job.
So...
And I want to transition to this now. I mentioned our friend Gary the Gun. He is holding a meeting. He's briefing only Democrats. Okay. Now, I want to be very clear on something. Okay.
Are you?
Hold on. This is important to say. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican watching, it does not matter in reference to this. If this was the other way around and it was the Republicans that were getting money and it was the Republicans that were getting behind closed doors, we'd be doing the same thing on that side. When we talk about crypto on our show, political beliefs are completely set aside. I just want you guys to understand that, okay? So, what were you going to say, Robin?
It's just no surprise to me, man.
So this is interesting.
Like, how are you going to have a meeting like with only Democrats? First of all, the House is dominated by the Republicans. Like, if you want to get something done, it's like the guy doesn't want anything to get done, right? And so you're having a meeting with the political party that isn't even in power. What are you going to talk about?
Well, apparently
you can't even pass it. You can't even put a proposal. You can't even put a bill up for vote because you don't hold the office.
Robin, please. Gary is going to hold a brief for the Democrats. Democrats of the House Financial Services Committee, which Maxine Waters is the chairwoman, will hear from Gary Gensler in the lead up to a hearing on FTX next week. Gensler will speak at a Democratic members-only briefing on Tuesday. It's unclear whether Gensler or his CFTC counterpart will appear at next week's hearing. The committee also wants to hear from embattled former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried and has asked current CEO John Ray III to testify. Now,
my question is...
Hold on.
What do you think if Gary Gensler's sitting there testifying or in some kind of committee question and answer, but pretty much he's testifying, right? And there's people across from him asking him questions. What do you think Republicans would be asking him?
Well, that's the point of like balance, right? Is you have one set of views, one set of views. Republicans might ask questions that the Democrats might not think of, and vice versa too. And so I don't understand, and I don't know the inner workings of government. I really don't. Okay, I know a little bit, but not enough to sit here and say, well, this has happened this many times before. But like when it comes to something like this, where it's completely bipartisan, it has nothing to do with one party outside the fact that one party apparently got more money than the other one and apparently was being coerced by this one man. Why would you hold a closed door meeting for the House Democrats when the other party now controls the House, right? The Speaker of the House is Republican now. What, like, I don't understand. Like, what benefit?
It's so funny you mentioned that. You don't need to be an expert to understand this shit. Like, you don't need to be an expert. Like, you don't need to understand how a union works to understand that if only the board members are having a meeting and the union representatives and the employees aren't part of the meeting, and then they make a decision that fundamentally changes the company's direction, that's not fair, right?
Yeah, I agree.
You need both parties there. It's just basic. And so I don't need to understand the inner workings of a union to understand that, hey, let's just bring everybody to the table, let's have an open discussion, let's figure out what went wrong and what we can fix. That's it. Or what problems are at hand and how we can address them and how it favors, how everyone can compromise and have an agreement that is fair for everybody. And you can't have that if only one team shows up.
And Todd Lee 76 brought up a good point. Said, the Republicans actually won't technically control the House until next year, which is with next section, which is true.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, that is true. So good point.
I do have a couple. You know what? Let's take a brief intermission to discuss the lack of like button in here.
And the lack of Spain scoring goals.
That's right. And so, guys, if you like the Portuguese Rooster, drop a like. If you like our channel, drop a like.
You like the sweatshirt? Drop a like. I might pick you up one from Sin City Crypto.
If you like this thumbs up sign. And then lastly, if you like the fact that Jimmy is handing out gifted memberships like we do in a strip club here, throwing them dollars.
Bro, I've been to one strip club. It was in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It was the worst experience
Did
of my
they
life.
give you like cheese curds? As like
I would
you
say
pay $20.
Bro, my restaurant mind is spinning right now. Cheese curds, not served from the kitchen, if you know what I'm saying. But listen, all I'm trying to say is don't say Sin City Strip Club. I don't go to strip clubs, bro. Do you go to strip clubs? No, you don't either.
We are actually sharing an
doesn't go to
office.
strip
We're
clubs.
sharing an office with a strip club.
Actually, Rocco, do you go to strip clubs?
I just came out. It was,
My dude. He's 10 Jack and Cokes in.
my mic was off. Okay, I was
right.
just back here.
I wanna shift the conversation from yes, go Pack Oaks that we suck this year. I want to shift the conversation from Sam to the next topic of conversation, which is none other than Nexo is leaving the USA due to regulatory difficulties. It's a source from our favorite, the potato of crypto. The company announced on Monday that it would begin phasing out its products and services from the country, USA, over the coming months. They said, quote, the U.S. refuses to provide a path forward for enabling blockchain businesses, and we cannot give our customers confidence that regulators are focused on their best interests. Goes on to say the company outlined multiple actions it has already taken to demonstrate compliance with regulators, such as registering its Nexo token with the SEC and delisting XRP. They go on to say, quote, although regulators initially encouraged our cooperation and a sustainable path forward appeared viable, the events of recent weeks and months and the subsequent change in regulators' behavior point to the opposite. Robin, let me ask you this question, bro. Do you think that they're like crap? If they start to dig into our company, we're gonna be screwed. So they're kind of like turning around and going the other way.
I don't think it frees them of the SEC's regulation or hip fire regulation that they have, because or as the SEC call or as analysts call it, enforcement by what's it called?
Enforcement by
regulation
by enforcement.
Yeah. And so there's no blueprint. They're just kind of throwing stuff as they make it up, right? They're like, oh, hey, your servers are based, most of the servers for the network are based in the U.S. So you're a U.S.-based company. So I don't think that it would keep them free of possible SEC scrutiny, put it that way. I think that the more pressing issue is exactly what is front and center and what we're discussing and what the headline is that as the longer that the U.S. drags their feet when it comes to clarity, here's the thing: if you don't even need to regulate, just clarify what falls into certain boxes, because the fact that you have this big question mark hanging over everything that's what's deeply concerning. The fact that we still can't confidently call Ethereum a commodity, and that it could still be deemed a security and regulated as a security and sued as a security per the SEC, that's where we're at. And how are we supposed to move forward if that's where we're at, right?
How do I breathe without... Oh, God. Oh, my God.
What? Okay, boss.
What'd you do? You okay?
We got a couple new people in here. We got Cryptic Mushroom, Lunar VRR, and Toddley 76, Sammy Dogemaster. Wonder who that is. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
All right, before we bring our guest on, I want to talk about Bitcoin mining. So, you know,
I will say one thing, though, before we move on. I am still not done with that Sam Bankman-Fried thing.
I don't think any of us are, bro.
And so... he's going to get subpoenaed, right? Because we talked about the backstory, but we didn't really go forward. Okay, so
He has not officially been subpoenaed.
Maxine Waters has said, "Yo, you coming?" Right? Essentially, she said, "Hey,
why is she being so nice to him, though? Why is she being so nice to him, Robin?"
Yeah, that's what that whole backstory was exactly that.
Here's the thing, though, man. People are saying this was the worst fraud in American history, right?
Yeah.
And she's saying over 1 million people were affected. And you're over here like, we appreciate your candidness. Thank you so much for being so outspoken. Why? Like that just sends a bad, what's the word?
So
a bad message.
Yeah. No, it does. It obviously does. But here, so last thing I'll say is that straight up, whatever her narrative was before, it's changed, right? She says he's coming, right? She says, "Hey, you've been out here doing interviews. After listening to the interviews, you got important information that we need, and you're gonna come here and testify." And so I think I think what she gave was an open invitation that's like, "Yo, you're coming, or we're gonna subpoena you," right? Isn't that the vibe?
Yeah.
I mean, so.
But why not say that? Why not just say that? Why say, I think you have enough to say, and if we need to, we'll extend the hearings.
It was like 3 months ago. She blew dude kisses at Congress. That's why. Because they're buddy. They hang out. They go have dinner. They probably share stories about how their dogs like to how much they love snacks
and peanut butter.
And so at the end of the day, the biggest takeaway here is that I believe he will either be subpoenaed or he will be speaking, like he's gonna be speaking in court, or he's gonna be on the run, one or the other, right? And when I say I mean in Congress, not court.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Or do you think they're not going to subpoena him and he's not going to show up? You think that's a possibility?
Honestly,
I don't think so.
I think it's a possibility, bro. I don't know, man. I'm curious how this whole Caroline Ellison thing plays out. That's what I'm curious. I think that's going to say a lot to what's going to happen to Sam.
You think that Caroline is going to snitch on his ass, or maybe she's the fall guy?
That's what I'm saying. We don't know. We don't know what Sam knows about some of these politicians, how much money he's giving. We just don't know. All we know is what we see, and we see how people are reacting, how people are, acting around the situation. And I'll tell you what, man, for the amount, for how upset Gary Gensler was at some of these other crypto companies, how upset these Republicans, how upset these Democrats were. And now you have one of the largest frauds in American history, and you're not even subpoenaing the guy.
Yeah,
it just doesn't.
Well, I mean, it sounds like it was an ultimatum. That's kind of what I took away. It was an ultimatum. It was like, yeah, you coming, or we're gonna subpoena you.
But if I ever give an ultimatum, it's not because I'm happy about it.
Here's the thing: if you give an ultimatum, what do you normally do? You make it cut, dry, clean, and simple, right? You're like, yo,
Robin, either you give me $5,000 or I'm gonna punch you in the nose. That's an ultimatum.
You either show up tomorrow, or I'm never talking to you again. Or hey, or you tell your lady, be like, if I ever catch you talking to him again, we done.
Okay. All right.
But you make it clean and simple. So if you're gonna ask a dude to come over here and testify, just say it. Yo, bring your ass, come testify, or we're gonna subpoena you. Just keep it clean. Keep it clean and simple, baby.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Rocco, let's bring on our guest. Yo.
How you doing, guys?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Good. Loving the banter as always.
Yeah, we like to, especially on the day Portugal's going to lose. I mean, Portugal plays. Now, would you like us to refer to you by your government name? Do you have a nickname you'd like to go by? What's the vibe here?
You just call me CVO. Yeah,
CVO.
Okay. And what I go by. Yeah.
Okay. Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you go ahead and take a couple minutes to tell people kind of your background, what you do, and what kind of content they can expect when they come watch your content.
Sure, sounds good. Yeah, similar to many people in the crypto space, got that the gateway drug, so to speak. So, Litecoin back in 2017 was kind of my entry into the area. At the time it was only Coinbase, and you can only get Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, and Litecoin was just the cheapest. So I just kind of decided to kind of get into that route. Started going down every rabbit hole on Reddit, and learning about everything you could, YouTube videos. At the time it was a lot less consumption that you actually had at the moment, but ran with the entire market through 2017. I actually never sold anything in 2017, just bought in January, kind of held. Obviously saw a really nice, almost 100x move in that year. And at the very end, I started making a couple of moves, basically at the height of the market, dumped pretty much everything into like XRP, right as that was coming up, and then Tron, right as that came up. And then essentially watched everything go back to almost what my entry was over the following years. So obviously news was a big, catalyst at times. Everybody thought that, all the innovation and this and that, and all the partnerships and all the things that really made you not want to consider, taking those life-changing gains, even though they were amazing at the time. You did anticipate that we could go further and, what have you. I guess the greed came over, and more than anything, I was looking at for retirement. But once everything kind of hit the low, really just decided to just kind of get into the meat and potatoes of how to understand the market a little better, and to kind of just run with and roll with the punches. The bear market obviously was a very tough time for everybody, so it's pretty much where we've been now. So really wanted to kind of gear up. So started trading. I entered into a couple of other trading groups. I went through a couple of courses. Kind of self-taught for the most part. Started off with pattern trading, things of that nature, and then eventually I ended up partnering up with Magic Internet Money, who's another creator that you had on here, I think about a week ago. He's coming back on here in a bit with Gareth.
He's in the chat right now. He's in the chat right now.
Is he? Awesome. There he is. So, and one thing that drove me to Magic was he utilized, he traded ranges, and it was, range data based on volume. He utilizes harmonics, horizontals, statistical trading, and things that are based off math. And, that's just a total different way to look at the market. I like to say it's how the institutions trade, basically, and no news is needed realistically. I mean, there's things with policy and things that the Fed choose, and that are going to obviously come into the market. But we really just we cover the charts, man. We're very technical. We try to incorporate any news when we can, because I do know that people do really enjoy, or not enjoy, but need those aspects and outlooks as well. So, and then it can be, coincide with a lot of the moves that we have, but it's one of those, if this, then that situations regardless, right? So if you're going to look at the news, if the Fed says this, then this is going to happen. It's the same way with charts. And then at that point, you already have your game plan and your strategy in place, so that you can kind of pivot when, things come and, FTX collapses out of nowhere, things like that. So, we're very, very technical. Yep.
Speaking of Magic Internet Money, he'll be joining us for our FOMC special. Him and Gareth Soloway will be joining us for a very special FOMC. So we're excited. All right, let's take a look at where the markets are. So we held off on our market watch for you, my friend. We want you to do our TA for us. Which, by the way, the link to their YouTube channel is in the description of this video. It's at Leading Crypto. Go check them out on YouTube. Please go subscribe. So without further ado, let's take a look at where cryptocurrency and the markets are. So we are currently at $850 billion in market cap, 35. This volume is extremely low, 35.8 billion. I'm curious what you think, CVO. Does this mean a big move is coming? We'll get into that here in a second. Bitcoin dominance at 38.4, ETH coming in at 18%. I want to stop there and I want to ask you a question. Do you pay attention to Bitcoin dominance or ETH dominance? Are those charts you look at? Is that a metric you like to pay attention to?
Yeah, I don't tend to look at the ETH. I guess, yeah, ETH versus BTC is a big one that we do kind of correlate, but it's really just to kind of give a little bit more of a grand, idea. So if you're looking at a couple other things and you're anticipating some moves, you can kind of take a peek over to the ETH versus BTC chart. In my opinion, it doesn't give you, an immediate outlook. You can kind of anticipate that, okay, if we start coming up on these levels that, the altcoins might outperform Bitcoin for, a bit. But yeah, I mean, we can incorporate it into, our probably like our larger term time frame things, but, in the day to day, it can be a little bit more of just a little bit of noise, I think, in my opinion. So, but we do incorporate it.
Let me ask you this question. Now, we've seen through past bear markets, right? As money starts flowing out of crypto, and as it starts flowing out of altcoins and flowing into Bitcoin. And so the Bitcoin dominance historically has, in bear markets gone up to 50, 60, 70, sometimes even 80% in the earlier stages of the bear market. Are you surprised we haven't been able to stay over 40% with everything that's been going on?
Not necessarily, it's just at this point, I think at the end of last year, I think that, you really have to, obviously keep the idea of, 4-year cycles or the previous markets and this and that. Like, you can keep that in mind, but I think that at this point we really have to, step away from assuming that everything's going to, correlate to the previous moves. And one of the things that, I look at too personally is that, I know that I was a big, advocate of the 4-year cycle until I knew I was wrong, which was basically last year, December 1, right? So when we came back down, started closing below 60K, I was like, all right, well, that's out the window. But one thing that I, have always kind of been tracking was that, in the normal markets, you got the U.S. housing market, things of that nature. You have like 18 to 20 year cycles, right? And you can backdate that, back test it for like 300 years. And time again, you go through these 20 on average. So it's not always 20, sometimes 18, sometimes 22. But you go through these 20-year cycles. And in my opinion, I think that we're just building out the very first 20-year cycle, give or take, for Bitcoin. Alongside with, the current housing market and things of that nature that realistically may end in the end of this decade here. So hope that answers that question, I guess. But
for sure. Yeah. So you don't believe in 4-year cycles, huh?
I like I said, I still, once again, I was a huge advocate. So not to say that, I just threw it out the door, but I just, I'm not just hanging my hat on that solely, I guess. So.
For sure. Okay. Well, so Bitcoin's coming in at 16.9, right? We've kind of held right under the 17K mark. I mentioned volume extremely low. Just to give you an idea, during the FTX, Luna, all the big stuff, volume was over 200 billion. When when their options get liquidated, end of the week, end of the month, end of the quarter, volume jumps up to over 100 billion. We're at 35 billion in volume. What's the Bitcoin chart telling you? Are we expected? Is a big move coming, whether it's to the upside or downside? And if you want to go ahead and share your chart, you can.
Yeah, so we were talking about this actually on our show today, that just the volume, especially today. Yesterday, we'd had a little bit of movement, nothing crazy, a little bit more action in Ethereum for, at least for me. But yeah, the volume has just been so slow. So I'm just going to kind of look at some very simple areas here, right? So you got the current Bitcoin chart. This is on a lower time frame, so that's why it looks like this. But I'm going to kind of go from zoomed in to zoomed out. And you got this, triangle here that we're pretty much formulating that I have to imagine most people are looking at. And this is going to give you a measured move like down to like 16,750 in that region, right? So just kind of poked out of there just right before we came on the show. So I was going to bring this up, but yeah, kind of scooted back up in there. So for me, this is not something we really trade off of heavily, but it's just something to kind of keep in mind that, most people are going to be aware of. And in general, I usually stack up the pattern at play with, some of our major areas we're looking for regardless. So, to answer the question, I do think we're going to get some volatility here shortly. And then a lot of times when you see a triangle, coming through, obviously that means the price action is coiling up. So this actually would end, sometime, I think it's today. So by the end of today, we'll probably get at least a little decent, idea of where we, maybe headed short term here. I got a couple areas marked out here. So the untapped weekly key level, though, this is an average of price of last week that generated for this week here. We actually came down. A lot of times Ethereum and Bitcoin will, meet these levels pretty concisely. Yesterday, Ethereum met its weekly key level. Bitcoin did not. And it is just below here in that region where if we start breaking down, this would effectively take out yesterday's low. You come down to this region, people will be looking for lower. In my opinion, coming down to this region, right? So we just kind of make our way down. I wouldn't want to aimlessly look for that level, but if you come back up and start reclaiming it, this could offer up a pretty decent little short-term move. You got our daily open for today, at least. That's not something that, it's going to change over time. Our weekly open as well, back up to 1,700. And then as far as, for upside continuation, I'll just go ahead and take a look at both. For upside, we do have last week's range here, right? So pulled up. And you got a lot of the volume coming in at the high here. So this is what we call, not what we call, it's just is what it is, right? It's the P-shaped volume, right? So it's just indicative of price action continuing to the upside, right? So it's a continuation, not a guarantee by any means. So you still want to kind of have your, your P's and Q's lined up here, because if we do lose this level right here, you can see how that's the bottom of the high volume node. There's really nothing that comes in to, stop this until we come back down all the way to the range low. And then at that point, you'd probably start looking down towards the golden pocket, which is about 16,130, 16,193. This region has a couple of other areas in there as well. There's a daily level here as well. So that would kind of be, if we drop from here, this is going to be the area that I'd be looking for in the short term. And then kind of, seeing how the reaction is at that point. Bounce area, no matter what, probably at this golden pocket, whether that means if we came down to this region and bounce, all the way back out and run, either way, it's going to offer up probably a decent little trade in the short term. And then if you do start losing that, then obviously we just continue to look lower, right? So as far as for upside, you really want to clear last week's, overall high, or this is the current week right here, but you want to really start living back above 17,350. And then we have our quarter two low here, right? So this was the June low, 17,567. So if you start living above this region, I think that Magic was talking about this on the last one we were talking about on substantial closing basis, which to us would mean like you really want to see like the week close above here, or the month, or things of that nature, and that's really going to be indicative of more so a substantial rally coming into play. And if we zoom out here a little bit, right? So
This is on the 4-hour chart.
Yeah, this is on the 4-hour time frame now. So and if if we come back out of here, once again, you can see how the Q2 low, we're just living really, right below there, coming back into this region. And then we start looking back up to like, maybe we can see 19K, maybe we can see 21K, and start kind of seeing things from level to level at that point. But yeah, in the short term, we really are at a little breaking point. And I really do think that, it's going to determine on how we come out of this little triangle area at the moment. But it really, to me, is 16,8805 is the level at the moment. So lose that, and I would imagine we come down to our golden pocket and have to reevaluate at that point.
Cool, man. Now we know Litecoin's been kind of making a tear here. So they moved all the way from outside the top 20 to now in the 13th spot, coming in at 5.6 billion, $78. Robin and I kind of discussed this as far as why we think Litecoin kind of pumped. We know
I'm telling you, it's because your boy Sam Bankman-Fried, Alameda, they might have been using that Mimble-Wimble upgrade to launder some of that stolen funds. So a lot of funds, got backdoored out of FTX in the number of billions. And obviously, Tornado Cash is being sanctioned by the U.S. government. Definitely lacks liquidity. A project as robust as Litecoin, or at least with market cap, does provide a substantial amount of liquidity if you were going to try to use it to move funds around privately. So that's all kind of speculation. But I don't know. I just don't see any reason for Litecoin pumping outside of what is it, the potential halving for next year. Right. I don't know. So.
Well, can you give us? Can you take a look at the Litecoin chart? Can you give us maybe like a short term, maybe the next 2 weeks to a month, and then maybe like a medium term, 6 months? What we can expect, or what are the charts saying as far as Litecoin?
So, like I said, Litecoin is my, was my gateway drug into the space, and it's something that I actually have never really gotten rid of my initial Litecoin. So, I do pay close attention to this, and we were looking at this chart for a very long time. So, this is actually a very high time frame range. This took 3 months to build out. And from there, all we've done is, what's called a range rotation. So you basically rotate from low to high. We're getting some deviation right here. The only thing is that just very much similar to like moving averages and things of that nature. When you zoom out a little bit more, right here's the 4-hour time frame. So if you're looking at this in the sense of volume, this is your value area. However, if you come into, like a weekly time frame, you can see how the value area does shift up a little bit. So something to be aware of. And as you can see, the high comes in right here. We essentially, shot through there. This is what we call an SFP at times, where you come through and you wick past the previous high, and then we close back inside the range so far. So we'll have to see how this week kind of plays out. But in my opinion, on a short-term base, this was the range high. Also was an untapped monthly key level as well. So that's an average of price for 1 month, and that does at least sit here at 76.87. So in the short term, I would imagine we might actually come back in and come all the way back down to possibly this 3-month level, this golden pocket. It's back down about $62. At that time, we really have to see how Bitcoin and the rest of the market is looking. Once again, you kind of can correlate the two. If you look at just an RSI bearish divergence, you can see here we have a higher high and a lower high. Obviously indicative weakness in the move here. So the trigger for this for me would be to basically come back down and live back below 76.89. We'll close in like 4 hours, close the daily, and definitely if you see the week close there. And we were talking about something with like a decent entry or things like that, and this could actually amount to a pretty decent short. If you were looking for it, I'm not in the game of giving out signals or things of that nature, but that's when you kind of can start piecing some of these ideas together. But once again, you really want to see how everything kind of correlates together. You want to see how Bitcoin looks, how Ethereum looks. If Bitcoin just starts taking off, that's obviously not going to be not going to end well for a short position. But otherwise, if you're just holding spot, this could be an area. This for me is where I actually took some off the table, looking to buy back in lower once again. This $52 area to all the way up to 61. I think we're going to see that again here in the near term. And the thing that would change that at the moment is $85, basically start closing back above 85. And you're talking like 6 months down the road, things like that, right? Or, if you push back up, we've got $98 is on the table, and a big one would be 107, 108 basically again. So, but I would have to imagine that sadly, I think we're going to just come back in if we don't, start getting on and upward from here. And that's, once again, pairing with news. Like I've got no idea when the halving is. I've got no idea, what the rhetoric is on that, and that's to me one of the biggest things. Sometimes I'm not saying, the news is obviously it's good to correlate, and that's why I love actually coming on shows like this, because I don't look at the news. So when you're talking about, the whole FTX issue and things with Litecoin going through that, I was like, that could make sense. And so I really enjoy actually coming on with people that have more of a news basis and kind of throwing in and see how things correlate. But right now, I would imagine that we might see a pullback, and this is a pretty drastic one. From the high down to that golden pocket is like 30%, possibly 40 down to the point of control. So that's what I'd be looking for out of Litecoin.
Cool, man. Are there any other charts that you kind of came across that you're like, okay, maybe there's a good entry point, exit point? Of course, it's not financial advice, but or anything you want to share as far as charts on altcoins?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to look at Ethereum pretty much, exclusively, especially for the group. Magic is kind of more so the Bitcoin guy. I follow along obviously with him, but I tend to go with Ethereum and Cardano. Like this little list right here is pretty much my go-to. Cardano and Doge. Doge actually trades pretty well, believe it or not, in short-term instances. But very similar with Ethereum here to Bitcoin is you got this previous week here with that P profile, right? So kind of indicative that we could break this range. If you break it, going to continue onward and upward. One thing to note is we do have an untapped, average of price up here, 1350, give or take. So this area I'd be really looking for to see if we run up to it. And if you claim that, there's definitely some more upside potential. Otherwise, this could just very well just be a target in the short term to the upside and see how things play out. And very similar with Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin starts losing some of these lower areas, I'm looking for a couple of these areas here, and one of which I've been looking for quite some time. We made this, back in, I think, June, but it's this untapped daily level all the way down at 1,038, give or take, and it actually runs down to the 886 at 1,009. So this little box right here, I would imagine, and I say imagine, if we come down to this region, I'll be looking very closely at the market, because this would be, in my opinion, a really good opportunity. Obviously, it's not something to just sell out everything or throw everything at it at this time and just YOLO in with 100x or anything like that. But if we were to make our way down to this region, and do one of these little deals, this would be the area that I'd be watching pretty heavily. Is 1,038 for Ethereum, and then from there, I do think that we have some pretty good upside for quite a while, probably a couple weeks to months at that point. Obviously, that would coincide with Bitcoin as well. So, something to just kind of keep in mind as we kind of monitor Bitcoin as well over the next couple of weeks here, and then taking a grander look here, because I do have this is more of a shorter term area. So I'll just go ahead and pull up ETH on got a larger scale here. It's a little bit cleaner, a little easier to look at. So just a couple of literally like 5 areas to watch. This is what I'm looking for. So we do have an old quarter that we've really been grinding it out on for quite a while. We got this high volume area right here. So this is the number one volume traded area in that time period. So living above there is actually a good sign. And from here, like I said, to come back up and actually tag this monthly key level that we were just talking on, 1350, would be something I'd be really watching to see how things kind of react. And once again, you'd only really be making a high, lower high, lower high, coming up to even this region or up to 1350, another lower high. So looking for that reversal is key right now, and starting to live back above 1460 is kind of the gateway into that. You can start challenging into this untapped weekly, but really coming back above this recent high on a pretty decent time frame. If we just shoot right up to this region, that's something to kind of be cautious of. A lot of those big pumps end up in big dumps. But yeah, aside from that, this untapped daily down here is definitely, got on my mind and something that we've been paying attention for quite some time. And I guess since it's on here as well, we call it the devil's basement and this is, not something that I would just anticipate happening anytime right now, but over the next couple. The devil's basement, yeah. Like the worst case scenario is like when you start plunging and we're pushing down to like 10 to 13K Bitcoin and things like that. One big inefficiency on Ethereum comes into play right here, and it's an untapped yearly level. So these have a super high statistical hit rate, and in the past, I think that this has been the only one, and don't quote me on that, but there's very, very few, if any, that we've never came back and hit. So 528 is the one for Ethereum. Bitcoin actually 20,688 was that level for Bitcoin for quite some time, and obviously we've met that. So Ethereum has not yet had that occur, and not saying it has to happen. This could be the 1 out of 100 that never comes back to, but it is definitely something to be aware of if if things get hairy in a couple months, or as things, when you're looking for those areas to fully DCA, have like a DCA strategy. For me, I've deployed all capital into my long-term plays at this point. It's just short-term and mid-term moves. Otherwise, it's 528 to 375 for Ethereum, and that's the next time I'm buying in. So yeah. But
pretty low target there. We'll see. I'll tell you what, if it gets that low, I'm a buyer as well. Guys, make sure to go follow CVO Crypto. Rocco, you pull up my laptop. So this is a Twitter handle here. It's at CVO_crypto. Also, go subscribe to them on YouTube. The link to their YouTube channel is in the description of this video. Before someone said they couldn't click it or something, but it should be fixed. The hyperlink should be fixed. If not, it's Leading Crypto, CVO, Magic Internet Money. My friend, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to bringing you on again.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a pleasure. You guys have a great afternoon. I look forward to do it again.
Thanks, brother. Take care.
You too.
All right. I want to talk about something that I've harped on before, and that is Bitcoin mining. We've talked about the mining difficulty. We've talked about the hash rate. Get my coconut water out of here. Talked about the hash rate continue to go up, difficulties up, prices down, energy prices up. Something's got to break, right? And so, well, this is from The Block. Bitcoin mining difficulty falls 7.2% in sign of unprofitable machines are being unplugged. Bitcoin mining difficulty is down 7.2%, the biggest drop since July of 2021, and the largest single step down since a nearly 28% plunge following China's crackdown on mining last summer. The significant change in difficulty is likely due to unplugged machines. more and more ASIC machines are flooding the market, even as average prices have already crashed some 80% compared to last December. Rob, are you, is this concern? I mean, we knew this was going to happen, right? It doesn't take a miner, a tech genius to understand something's got to break. Either they start unplugging, they start selling more Bitcoin. Something's got to break, and it seems like they're unplugging.
Yeah, I mean, miners, they have a business. Business is to become profitable. And if the cost of energy and the cost of business is not profitable, and you can mitigate your losses by simply turning off your machines and not drawing power and not incurring more and more losses, then so be it. Now, if you have enough headway where you have enough treasury assets where you're like, hey, we'll just keep mining Bitcoin right now at a loss or a lack of profit. And in the future, we'll sell them for a profit when the price of Bitcoin goes up, then cool. But if you can't afford to go negative this month, next month, and the following month, or God knows how long we're going to be in a bear market, then your only other option is to power down. And there's been calls that we're going to have the largest fall in hash rate and in both mining difficulty in the history of Bitcoin. That we are at a straight plateau because we have the perfect storm here. You have one, the price of energy being as exorbitant as it is. You also have the price of simply the ASICs being pretty high. Now they are down from where they were when the supply chain issues were going rampant. But I mean, this was coming. Everybody knew it. We knew it. We've been talking about it for a while. And my thing is hey, can you stay afloat? Will your business still work? Because that's where I want to know. Like if you're a mining company and you have to make interest payments on loans, you have to pay the lease on the building, you have employees, are you going to be able to tread water for long enough? That's what I want to know.
So. Will you be treading? Trying to think of something fun to say, but I couldn't. All right, guys, go check out our merchandise store. Also, I fixed the link. I apologize. I went back in, recopy pasted the link. Rocco, the Don, is giving you an offer you cannot refuse.
What's going on?
10% off.
Oh, okay.
10% off for everyone.
It's not me. It's Santa.
Rocco,
yeah.
can we get a rooster?
No, we're not
somewhere?
getting a fucking rooster, man.
A rooster, like
It's not all about you.
in Bitcoin.
Can we get a
We
rooster?
can do that, yeah.
Idiot.
Of course we can do it.
I swear to God, if you put a rooster on there, Rocco, I'm
Okay,
shutting
what'd you
I'm shutting
want?
the shit
How about
down.
a rooster? How about him
No, we don't need a
pecking at it
rooster.
like a barbecue
no
chicken
need
pizza?
for a
How about
rooster.
that? Like, can we do that?
Okay, Dave, what you want? You tell me what you want for Christmas.
You,
want a
nothing.
rooster,
You're doing a
cats?
great. You're doing a
Cat.
great
Like,
job. You're doing a great
please
job.
make a barbecue chicken pizza shirt.
You're
Please.
doing a
Okay,
great
okay.
job,
I
Rocco.
can do that.
Or
You're
just
doing a great job.
just get a picture of David's face with just barbecue sauce just everywhere.
All possible. Yeah.
Guys, go
If
follow
you
us
put
on
barbecue sauce on spaghetti instead of like marinara sauce.
No, come on.
Guys,
Now
go,
we're reaching like blasphemy toward almost
Guys, go follow us on Twitter.
comunicato.
Also,
Follow us
go watch the rest of this Portugal game. We're up 1-0. How you doing? Hola!
Go follow us on social media. Go follow us on Twitter, Rocco.
What's going on?
All right, we're gonna go to the pub. Watch the rest of this game.
There's not even a tornado finger. That's more like not even a breeze.
Friends, family, friends, and family, and family, friends, thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday. Make sure to come back tomorrow. Crypto Lifer will be joining us. If you're in the Crypto Lifer community, put the triple threes up. Is it 33 or
It's the
triple three? I
lifer.
don't know, but I like
It's the life.
The Lifer's gonna come back. Talk about some
We gotta
passion,
look at
Bitcoin
the
charts.
statistics.
Let's go. Bitcoin
It's
charts.
the life. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care, please.
I prefer the original. See you guys.